Hey everyone, happy Sunday, or whenever you're watching this. So I'm making white chicken chili tonight. So I'm doing it in the enameled cast iron Dutch oven, only because it's like a nice big pot of chili, and hopefully what I'm gonna do is freeze some for my future school self. My friend Jody shared something great that her summer self was getting her school self ready by making stuff and putting it in the freezer. So that's what I'm gonna do. That way I just have single servings, grab and go. But I'm gonna post all the steps in just a minute, and you'll see. Okay, the first thing I'm doing, I'm gonna need 2 cans of white kidney beans, but 1 can needs to be mushed. So I'm taking my mix and chop, and I'm just gonna kind of mush them up a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna take another can. I'm not smashing these. Okay, I've drained them in the 5-quart colander. Okay, so I have 2 poblano peppers and a jalapeno pepper. So I'm going to cut these up. Okay, you want to remove the seeds. Just be careful, do not touch your eyes, particularly with the jalapeno. So I'm just gonna devein this. Okay, and then chop it up. I'm using the paring knife. I'm actually going to add, so it says to soften, 2 poblano peppers and a small onion and the jalapeno and the garlic. But I'm going to add the jalapeno and the garlic when I add the spices, because you're going to, first of all, you're going to burn the garlic. You really only want to saute that for a minute. And the same with the jalapeno. It really only needs a minute to saute. All right, so I'm not gonna make you watch me do this. Kind of the same concept with the poblano peppers. They're not very, I don't find them to be spicy, okay? But you do want to remove all the seeds. I should take these seeds to Tiff's mom. Same concept, right? I'm very careful with the seeds, particularly if they fall on the floor, the dogs. I don't want them eating them. Again, I'm not going to make you watch me chop all these. I'm going to use the Dutch oven today, the enameled Dutch oven, just because it's not going to take long to make this. And hopefully it's a nice big vat that I can freeze some. Okay, now I'm going to take an onion and chop it. You could use your Sudoku knife. I'm just trying to keep myself from having to wash something else using my paring knife. Sorry if this is boring. What's going on there? So we'll take that off. Same thing, you want to chop this finely. Now I'm going to put the onion and the poblano peppers in first. It's going to take about 5 minutes to soften. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to get all of my spices ready. Remember, You want to pinch your fingers towards the blade so you don't get your fingers. You could absolutely use the chopper. Again, I'm trying not to not make a mess. While I'm waiting for the oil to heat up, I'm gonna go ahead and get my garlic ready. It calls for 4 cloves. I'm just going to use 3 huge ones, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and press it onto the prep mat because I'm gonna add it with the jalapeno, okay? Remember, you don't have to peel it. Okay, I'm gonna add the onion and the poblano peppers. I'm gonna let them soften for about 5 minutes. And then I'm going to add the jalapeno and the garlic with the spices, which that's not what the recipe calls for, but it's gonna be better off for the recipe overall. Okay, I'm gonna add the jalapeno and the garlic now. I'm actually going to end up adding a little bit of white wine to deglaze this. I'm gonna add all right, I'm gonna add a little bit of salt, teaspoon. Add same with black pepper. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon ground cumin. Now it calls for a teaspoon of ancho chili powder, which I don't have, so I'm going to use chipotle. Woo. 1 1/2 teaspoons ground coriander. Now I'm going to add a teaspoon of Mexican hot chili powder. And I like it spicy, so I'm going to do cayenne. I know, I'm nuts. Okay. I just want to toast this for a minute. Give it a good stir. Let me just tell you, that for sure is definitely toasty. All right. I'm just going to add a little bit of wine to the glaze. Bottom of the pan. My sinuses are clearing. Oh, it's funny. Okay. Now, I'm going to add 4 cups, oh, making a mess, of chicken broth. I'm coughing because it's spicy. I'm going to add the juice of 2 limes. Now what I'm going to do after I add the limes, I'm just going to check the recipe. And I'm fairly certain I add the beans back in at this point. One second here. Okay, so I'm going to add the beans back. Remember, I mashed some of them, so it's going to give it some texture. And I'm going to let this simmer for 20 minutes. Find the lid. Okay, what I'm going to do now while I'm waiting for the beans to simmer, I'm just going to take apart this rotisserie chicken. If I'd had time last night, I probably should have done it last night when it was hot, because it's a little bit easier, right? So you're just going to take this apart. I'm just putting it in the lid just to make it less likely that my kitchen supervisor, i.e. Rosie, does not get any that falls. Okay, so just take this apart. And it's okay if it's in big chunks right now because you're going to cut it up. Okay, so now I'm going to take it and I'm going to chop it into small bites. You could also take, you know, roasted chicken breasts, and I would actually shred it. I think it'd be really good. Okay, you can remove the skin. You could, you know, use whatever you have. It's okay. So it's been simmering for a little bit. Okay, now I'm gonna take the chopped rotisserie chicken. And I'm just gonna slide this in there. And then I'm gonna let it simmer for another 15 minutes. And then it'll be all ready. I'm gonna serve it with sour cream, fresh cilantro, and tortilla chips. Okay, don't mind my mess. You could take out the chicken skin. I would take it out after. Okay, so I'm gonna cover it back up and let it simmer for 15 minutes.